What's up, MFFLs? It's Mavericks Today by Chat Sports, Harrison Graham, and Jeffrey Cooperstein here. And what we're going to do on today's show is kind of explore the rest of the schedule, starting with the Hawks tonight. A little playoff picture type of video and where things stand with 7 games to go. Coop, this is kind of how things sit right now. 45-30, 5th in the West. Like I said, you got those 7 games left, 4 of which are at home. Pretty good spot to be in if you're Dallas, considering, where they were around the trade deadline and even before that 7-game win streak, which got snapped the other night. They're in a good position to at least secure a top 6 and potentially be that 5 seed in the Western Conference.
Yeah, they put themselves in this position 18-5 or 18-7, in their last 25 games, so they've really ramped it up here as of late. Obviously had the big winning streak before losing that close one to the Warriors here as well. And I kind of think they have an opportunity to go on another winning streak here to end the season. If we take a look at the 7 remaining games, you start with the Hawks tonight and then the Warriors on a back-to-back. Then you have the Rockets at home. Then you go on the road to Charlotte and Miami before you have the Pistons at home and then the Thunder to round out the season. So I could see them winning, if not all these games, a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, the only games out of the 7 where you're like, okay, you're either going to be an underdog or it's, 50-50 at best, are probably at Miami, at OKC. Like, I think Dallas is a better team than Miami, but it's a roadie, and, the Heat could have a little more to play for playoff position-wise.
And ideally, that OKC game doesn't mean anything because both of them are resting.
Yeah, exactly. So. And I do want to mention this as well. So, obviously, tonight against Atlanta at home, it's a game you need to win. I think the Warriors, who play the Rockets tonight, by the way, if the Warriors beat the Rockets, they have a 4-game lead over Houston for that 10 spot with like 6 to go.
Yep.
I think that's what you're rooting for, because then that game tomorrow night, sure, Golden State's going to try to win it, but it's less big for them, because if they lose tonight to the Rockets, then it's only a 2-game back with themselves in Houston. They're going to really bring it on Friday night at the AAC. So I think tonight you're cheering for the Warriors to beat the Rockets.
Yeah, you absolutely want the Warriors to win this game tonight and put some cushion in between them. Maybe takes a little bit of pressure off them to win that game on Friday night, whereas the Mavs, I think, are still going to be full go. I know there were some rumors that Luka and Kyrie were going to rest one of these 2 games on the back-to-back, neither of which showed up on the injury report ahead of this game against the Hawks, so I assume both of them are playing. Maybe that changes tomorrow against the Warriors, but that remains to be seen. I think the Mavs are full go until they know what their seed is.
Yeah, I think they have to be. Predict the Mavs' final record in the comments below. I'll go chalk 50-32. I'll say they win 5 of their last 7. We said it about 3 weeks ago, Coop. If you get to 49 or 50, that probably is going to lock you into the top 6, and that's kind of where they're at. I think 50 for sure gets you there. 49 probably gets you in the top 6 as well, but let's shoot for that 50 number. That's a nice, even number there. And let's try to get to 50 wins on the season and keep that momentum rolling into the playoffs. So we'll kind of go game by game here, Coop, record prediction. And yesterday we declared 3 games as kind of clear must-wins.
Yes.
And the one tonight is a game you just can't mess around.
You're the better team.
Got to beat Atlanta at home. Is Trae Young playing?
I'm not sure about Trae Young's status, but what I do know is Malachi Flynn dropped 50 on them in their last game out. So Luka's dropped 73 on him. Malachi Flynn drops 50.
They play no defense.
Luka could go for another 60 tonight. It's entirely possible.
I mean, Malachi Flynn, those who don't know, he plays for the Pistons. He averages 4.6 points per game.
He's
plays
bad.
for the worst team in the league and scored 50 against
off the bench.
It's unbelievable. I would say that is the most random 50-point game since
Andre Miller. Absolutely.
Mavs legend. All right, let's go to the next game. Warriors, we'll declare this one a loss. It's one of those 50-50 games. I think the Mavs easily could win, but if they win tonight, then it kind of takes some pressure off the game tomorrow against Golden State. So, we'll kind of go on the conservative side of things here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. Trying to be fair, not trying to be too much of a homer. The Mavs obviously can beat this Warriors team. They have twice this year. We'll see what the Warriors can do here tonight. I think a lot of the game against the Warriors hinges on what they do tonight against the Rockets.
Like I said, if the Warriors win tonight, I think that game becomes a lot more, not easier, but more manageable if you're Dallas, because if Golden State comes out flat, they might just mail it in tomorrow night.
No question.
They'll have a 4-game cushion against Houston at that point, which means they're very close to being locked into a playoff spot, or a play-in spot, I should say. All right, we'll get to the rest of the games here momentarily, but first, got to get going with Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy. April is here. This is April, which means the action on the hardwood has never been hotter. You got Final Four action in the men's and women's tournaments. You also have these teams like the Mavs jockeying for playoff positioning. I got a little 3-player entry here for the Final Four. DJ Burns has been fantastic. I think he keeps it rolling, more than 14.5 points there against Purdue. Zach Edey's been unbelievable. He's averaging more than 30 points per game in this tournament. I think 25.5. It's too low of a number. I'll take the more there. And then Alex Caravan, more on the points, rebounds, and assists. I told you guys the other day, Bama plays no defense. So if you're using some players in that game, take the more across the board. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS gets you a deposit match up to $100. You can win up to 100 times your money right now with certain entries. But, kind of dip your toes in, get going, get that extra $100 with the code CLNS, and just kind of figure out what you like, more, less. Make your picks. It's easy. Cash out with Prize Picks. All right. I think you got to beat the Rockets. And another reason you want the Warriors to win tonight is because, sure, Houston, I think, is going to play out the string here, but they're going to be kind of done if they lose this game tonight. So if you're Dallas, you'll have the day off. I think beating the Rockets there on Sunday is a game that you should be able to handle at home. Yeah, and you just beat them by, 30 on the road?
Yeah, you beat them pretty handily the last time. It's a matinee game, so the AAC will be rocking a little 2:30 tip on a Sunday afternoon. Who doesn't love that? I think they're going to win this game against the Rockets, and that goes without saying. They're also going to win this game against the Hornets. I know that's dangerous because last year their season hinged on the home and home with the Hornets, and they lost both of them.
I was thinking about that too, yeah. So, I think
team.
I think the difference here, not just different team, but look, they'll never admit it, but they kind of tanked last year.
They did.
Let's just be honest, and for good reason.
Got Derek Lively.
I was saying Coop and I differed on that, but I was like, this team ain't doing it. You could just tell when you watch them play. They will not mess around. I would be shocked if they lost to the Hornets. And by the way, the Hornets, they got nothing.
They're a joke.
LaMelo's, Brandon Miller's a fine player.
But hey, Steve Clifford's stepping down at the end of the season.
Oh, are they going to rally for Steve down the stretch here? I don't
get one for the Gipper. They are a joke of a franchise, man. They're interviewing a bunch of different candidates, but who cares about the freaking Hornets?
I can't believe they brought the Big Rag Dog back.
It's unbelievable.
That is an unbelievable.
He was a failure the first time, so let's bring him back again.
Part 2, why not? Okay, at the Heat, you could argue this is the toughest remaining game. Miami, kind of like Dallas, but even more so, is really trying to jockey for their playoff positioning. Sure, you could say at OKC, but to your point earlier, that game might not be important for either team. So at Miami is going to be a tough one. I would agree here. I would say this is one that you'll probably be a slight underdog in and could be a little bit tough.
And like you said earlier, it is the month of April, which means Jimmy Butler is going to get out of bed and actually start trying to play basketball.
Hoops, yeah.
It's always a tough game in Miami. The Mavs have not been very successful in Miami since the championship, so I think that one's an L.
And then you bounce back, take care of business at home against Detroit. And look, that means you're 4-2 in these first 6. With any luck, this final game doesn't matter at OKC, so we'll label it as a loss.
The reason is because, like you said, my hope is the game doesn't mean anything and Luka and Kyrie don't play in this game. Jaden Hardy plays 40 minutes. That's my hope.
Yeah, that's ideal. You would rather not go into OKC needing your big dogs to play heavy minutes. That would not be ideal because say they do play heavy minutes and then you still lose it, then you fall into the play-in tournament.
Exactly.
That is not ideal. Even if you have a chance to go from 6-5 in that game, but you've locked in top 6, I still would probably sit because I don't think it's that big of a difference being 5 versus 6 if I'm being completely honest.
And and I hate, like I said, I've said this on past videos, I hate the idea of losing on purpose to try to get a seed. But if you are locked into 6 at that point and you maybe could get the 5, do you want to play the Clippers in the first round again?
I'd rather play the Thunder or the Timberwolves, I think.
I think so too. So that's kind of where that gamesmanship will come into play. But like I said, hopefully they're just locked in one way or another, and that game means nothing.
So who will the Mavs play in the first round of the playoffs? Predict it for us down in the comments below.
I think it's going to be the Clips, man.
So
I think we're getting part 3.
4-5?
I think we're getting part 3.
Man.
And this time, I think the Mavs are going to get the win.
Yeah, I do think the Mavs are playing better ball right now than the Clippers.
James Harden, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this. He's been absolutely awful the last couple of weeks. Paul George was asked after the game the other day, what can he do to get out of the slump? Paul George said, I'm not the coach. Next question.
Oh, man.
So it's all sunshine and roses.
Those egos are starting to clash. You just hate to see that.
Real tough.
Oh, man. Just a tough scene out west over there. So we'll see how it shakes out. Big one tonight. You can't mess around against Atlanta tonight. I'll feel a lot better in general if they just win this game tonight, because then you're like, okay, you go 3-3 the rest of the way, you're probably in the top 6. So, all right, he's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I am Harrison Graham. Let's get this dub tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Mavericks Today.
See you guys.